talk about today is, where we are now, what's the problem, and how we're going to fix it. And then I want to get all of you guys, every single one of you, to help out. My name is John Albin Wilkins. I'm known as John Albin in IRC and on Drupal.org. A lot of people think that my last name is actually Albin. It's not a big deal. You'll actually see that my name is wrong on the presentation. I'm pretty sure I put Wilkins as my last name on there, but made it into the booklet differently. I work for Palantir. These guys are awesome. They're a lot of really good people, and I love working with them. So what is the current state of Drupal 6 core themes? I had to look at all of the Drupal 6 core themes, and somebody told me that it's good to have a nice pretty graph and get people's attention and help them understand what's going on here. So of all the themes that are in Drupal 6 core, right now there's about 75% of them that just suck. And then your other 25% are Garland. So that's the state where we're at right now, and these things suck really bad too. They're not just, it's not that they just look awful, which they do. They're also table-based. Push button, Chameleon, BlueMarine, you actually look at them and install them. They've got tables all over the place for doing layout. It's like it's 1999 or something. Which was, a great song in 1983, but it is not a really good thing for Drupal. It's really, it's just embarrassing, really. You've got new people coming into Drupal, installing it for the first time, and like, oh, well, let me check out the themes, and Garland's your default one, and they go and look at the other ones, and they're like, ew. What is this? And so it became really obvious after we got this great Drupal 6 theme layer. And how many people actually do and make Drupal 6 themes all the time or sometimes, or would you guys consider yourself, well, let me do it this way. How many people are sort of like theming beginners? And how many people are sort of medium to advanced? Cool, excellent. So, the Drupal 6 theme layer is fantastic. There's basically nothing that you can't do in Drupal as far as theming goes. We've done a lot of really cool projects at Palantir that sort of prove that point. And a lot of other companies have done awesome things too with the theme layer. But people don't know about it because they see Push Button and Chameleon and BlueMarine as the examples of what Drupal spits out as far as HTML. And it's very, very, very bad. So the traditional sort of spheres of knowledge that the community of Drupal has been your PHP coders doing, this is where Dries firmly falls right in the middle there. Very, very talented people. He showed a slide of a cake that he made. He's not a designer. He should not be a designer. Then we've also had a lot of themers, a lot of people who are really knowledgeable in CSS. They've been able to work together reasonably well. The Drupal 5 was really hard to theme stuff because a lot of the HTML was embedded inside PHP. And you wanted to get at that, you had to learn PHP. Drupal 6 improves on that because now we've got a ton of TPL files, much, much easier to get at the HTML, makes the CSS job a lot easier. But for a long time, you go back about 2 years, Stephen Wintons was actually talking about, how do we get more designers into the Drupal community? That's been a really big missing part of this whole part of the Drupal community. We're missing the designers, right? So we need to get these people involved in our community and show what's possible. It's actually not going to be that hard. It really isn't. We've been working on this problem. A bunch of us met up at Do It with Drupal and talked about, what are we going to do? What exact steps do we need to go through? Great conversation. That's what I'm jumping in here. Right now, what we've got is like PHP coders on one side. It's like a junior high dance. We've got the PHP and the CSS people over here, been part of the Drupal community, and the designers on the other side of the room, and they're like all shy and not sure if they want to come across and talk to each other. And and what we really need, you know, the themers and the design people right out there in the middle of the dance floor and making beautiful themes, you know. Okay, maybe my analogy's a little off there, but basically, the main point is that Drupal needs to learn how to dance, okay? And if we can get the design community involved and show them how to dance with Drupal, we're going to end up with beautiful themes. We don't have to just sort of sit there and wait for the themes to show up to our side of the room. We need to sort of collaborate and get this going. You know, astute people will probably notice that actually there's 2 left feet there. That's kind of the way that's where we're at right now. We haven't spelled out the steps that make sense as far as how do you dance in Drupal's theming layer. And once we've sort of spelled out those steps, it's going to be really, really easy to get some beautiful themes. So we've got a plan, and basically what we're starting out with is we need to, oh, I've got these in the wrong order. I just did these slides this morning. We need to clean up core's default HTML and CSS. If you actually look at Drupal 6's default TPL files, if you look at the page TPL, and probably none of you have, if you look inside modules system folder, there's a page TPL.php file in there. It is really god awful. And in fact, no contrib theme in the entire repository uses it. So I'm not sure if anybody knows that it's there. It's some sort of weird bastardized version of Garland's page TPL there. I don't know even how it ended up there, but we've implemented this Stark theme, which just got committed to Drupal 7. It's the first new theme that's been committed to Drupal in 2 years since Garland made it in. And it's a really simple theme. It just has a .info file and a layout.css file to sort of move the left and right columns into actual columns. That's it. And its purpose right now is just to expose the HTML and CSS that's in Drupal core. Because some people sort of get they misunderstand exactly how the system works. With Stark, you get every single TPL file is from Drupal core and its modules. All of the HTML, all the CSS, it's in core already. It doesn't have to be provided by a theme. You know, all the contrib themes have all that stuff, but you don't have to. And so what we want to get is to clean up core's default HTML and CSS to make it possible to have CSS-only themes that are just overriding core. And the Stark theme is a great way to just expose all of that stuff so we can see, you know, warts and all, what's going on right now. And the plan is that we're working on this, and by the time Drupal 7 hits, we're going to have something beautiful to expose. So the next step that we do, and there's a whole bunch of Drupal issue queues. I'll give you a URL later that talks about how we're actually going in and fixing all the TPLs, going in and fixing the CSS, and everyone here can certainly help with that. And then the next step after that is teaching the theming concepts. This is one of the things that I've been trying very hard to tell as many people as possible. I'm the Zen maintainer, if I didn't say that before, and the Zen theme, one of its sort of main goals is to teach people about how the Drupal 6 theme system works and how you can use base themes, and it's got tons of documentation. It tells about info files and TPLs and variables. It's all in there. We need to do more teaching of the theming concepts. And one great way to do this, which we don't have, if you've, how many people have looked at the D6 theming guide? Okay, so the D6 theming guide is kind of like the HTML4 spec. It's really hard to read. It's geeky. It's extremely thorough. It's got everything you want to know about the Drupal 6 theme, but not in a way that you really want to know it. It's hard to grok, if you know what grok means, which is part of the problem. What we really need is a bunch of task-oriented tutorials. You know, one of the nice things about the theme system is actually very modular, so you don't have to learn everything from step 1 to step 37 about the theme system. If you have a particular thing that you're trying to do, you can sort of jump over here and do that first. That can be the first thing you learn. You don't have to go through all of these things that's in the theme guide. So we need to create these Drupal theming tutorials that are basically how-tos of how to do the different parts, and as a whole they will also document, just like the theming guide does, the entire Drupal system, and we need to write those. One of the things that I want to do at the documentation sprint, which is on Saturday, is to maybe come up with a list. What are the things we need to write? You know, and we'll come up with a list of what are the tasks, what are the tutorials that we want to build, and we probably won't even start writing the tutorials on Saturday, although somebody might be ambitious and start doing that. But if we can just get a list going, that'll be an awesome start for that documentation process. Then we've also got, I need to check my time here. Okay, we're doing good. Then we're going to get the designers involved. And what are the ways that we're going to get the designers involved? We kind of need to have a conversation about that. One of the things that people have talked about in the past is a design contest, a theming contest, where you have a contest and see what people bring to that. That's certainly one way to do it, and it made a lot of sense when I first heard it 2 years ago, and in a certain sense it still makes sense, but the problem here is a little bit of communication gap. We're on this side of the dance hall and the designers are over there, and if you talk about and you like wave your hand and say, woohoo, come over here, you know, I've got a theming contest, that's not how they work really. Designers, they don't like create designs hoping that you will pick them. In fact, that's considered a very bad thing in the design world. It's like, because all of the designers they're going out and they're supposed to present their portfolio to potential clients, right? So here's my designs that I've done in the past. Pick me on this work. I'm not going to create a comp for you and that's designed specifically for you and hope that you pick me because I've done this extra work. That's considered really bad form and kind of cheating. So a theme contest kind of rubs up that way against designers. So we need to engage them in other ways. I'm not saying a theming contest wouldn't work. I'm just saying that it wouldn't get this high-end designers that would be awesome to have inside the Drupal community. So we need to find ways to engage with them. And I think part of the way that we're going to do that is, you know, we've cleaned up the HTML and CSS. We've got all these great step-by-step ways to have how to theme Drupal 6. We can have some example. Well, we're still working on the plan. I want all of you to contribute to the plan. There's an idea here that maybe we want to have grid system. A lot of the designers have grid systems that they work on, you know, either 960 or Blueprint. It's something that they're very familiar with. Whether we want to have like an actual sort of base theme for that, for those kind of layouts in Drupal 7 core, or whether we want to have beautiful themes that happen to have that layout as it's, you know, using that method. We can figure that out as we go. I'm starting to think that it might be a good idea to have like one beautiful theme that's based on Blueprint, and if you want to have your own Blueprint theme, just pull out all these other CSS files and you can use that as your starting point for your own theme. And here's one that's using 960, and same thing. You can build off of that and just go and have those as examples, and you'll get the designer's attention because you're already starting to talk in their language. The Zen theme also has its own layout method, which people in Drupal have seemed to really taken to, and I'm very, very pleased about that. It's not well known outside of the Drupal community though, just because this is where I developed it, and this is the first place that I've really introduced people to that whole theming layout method. So it's not something that designers would know about. So the Zen layout method may be something that stays in contrib. But we want to talk and engage the Drupal or the designers and talk in their language, so that we seem all sexy and sophisticated, and maybe they'll come out into the middle of the room, right? So once we've gotten those steps there, we're just basically going to be watching Drupal dance, and I'm really excited about that time, because we're going to suddenly see an explosion of beautiful themes. I really and truly believe that. And then all we need to do inside Drupal 7 then would be to pick a couple and go ahead and kill off BlueMarine, remove it completely, and push button and all of the other crud that's in there, and say so long and thanks for all the fish. Help us out here. We've got the HTML and CSS that needs to be cleaned up. If you go to this URL here, this is on the community initiatives page that's on Drupal.org. There's a theming link there that goes directly to this, and it is going to explain all of the issues. As we add new issues to Drupal 7's core issue queue, we'll be pointing links on here. So like we've already finished, for example, the default page TPL markup. We've improved that to make it better, but we still have Node TPL to work on, which we've started work on that, just started like a few days ago. We've still got comment TPL, all the TPLs, haven't even really touched any of the CSS yet. This will be the central sort of starting point for linking out and saying, okay, let's go work on this and this and this. This is, I believe it's a wiki page that it's a Drupal.org documentation page. Everybody can now edit documentation pages. So if you add a new issue that you think is related to this cleanup effort, go ahead and modify that page and add it in there. If you are not as interested in actually changing the HTML and CSS, there's still the documentation that needs to be written. Doc sprint this Saturday. And of course, if you're not going to be here on Saturday, the documentation team, which Addison Berry heads, is a great team to join. And you can go to that URL and start joining. I'm going to take some questions and suggestions here in a second, but Common Places asked me to hand out a drawing for a free iPod. I'm just going to get that started. If people want to ask questions here, I've also got some free swag here, Zen 6.x, 2.x reference sheet. So, and the purple shirt back there. Is there any thought on whether two purple shirts, sorry. Go ahead. That's fine, I'll get them both of you, but go ahead. How embarrassing.
Is there any thought as to whether like the primary default theme is enabled when you just install Drupal, or whether there's going to be more thought as to the default theme should be fixed width versus full width, and whether that default theme will have admin look to it or be a completely separate admin theme?
Right, there actually is an admin theme issue queue where it ties in a lot with the usability too. So there's a couple different side issues which are slightly different than this initiative that's involving the admin theme. Also, the default theme is going to be Garland until we have something else to pick from. Right now, Garland's definitely better than BlueMarine. So yeah. As soon as we have other themes inside core, certainly there will be a discussion of what's going to be our new default theme. And the admin theme is something that people are working on. I don't remember those URLs right now. The other purple shirt.
One of the great things about Zen
You're welcome.
The documentation inside the theme. Will that make it into Stark?
Stark does have a README file where we sort of explain what the purpose is right now, at least for the Stark theme. All of the themes that we're going to add are going to have a README.txt file. They're going to explain, what's great about them, where you can go for more information. That is one of the sort of like completely missing things when you have installed Drupal for the first time. You start looking at some of the themes that are in core and you don't know how to go about modifying it. Every single one of the themes in core are going to have a README file that points to our new beautiful tutorials that we've built. It's going to talk about the sort of layout method that's used in that particular theme. It'll have a whole bunch of stuff like that. You're absolutely right.
But beyond that, I remember that there was a lot of documentation in the CSS itself and so forth in Zen.
That's true. Yeah, well, we could definitely do something like that in the. That's something that we could look at. I think there might be a little bit, if you've never looked at the Zen theme, there are a whole bunch of empty rule sets that explain what's going on. Those are extremely useful, but they also technically don't do anything. They're just like signposts, basically. So I'm not sure we could have a conversation about that, whether we want that in the default CSS files. So go ahead. And I'm just going to sort of leave these up here for you guys. But
Drupal 6 had a lot of really awesome improvements to the theme system that made it a lot easier for themers to do their thing.
Mm-hmm.
And aside from cleaning up the page template and the node template and others like that, and all of the core output in Drupal 7, are there going to be other improvements to make theming easier in Drupal 7?
Things to improve. When we released the Drupal 6 initially, there were some fairly significant bugs in the system, especially for this whole new concept of base themes and sub themes and stuff like that. We still haven't actually fixed all of those yet. They're way better now. The Zen theme had to jump through some hoops to fix things for sub themes for a long time, which is why it took so long to get a 1.0 out. Although I should have had it out probably last October. But still, all of those core bugs didn't get fixed until December. I don't know of any significant changes that are going to be happening for Drupal 7. Earl Miles and June Park were two of the people who worked a lot on the D6 theme system. I don't know if they have plans for extending that in D7. I think it's mostly going to be extending what we've got, making it a little bit easier, adding some of the ideas that are in Zen and putting that into core, adding ideas from other themes, putting those into core, like additional body classes and node classes that are extendable just the way body classes are now in your page TPL. That sort of stuff is going on, but nothing dramatic, I don't think. Gabor? Gabor, sorry.
In terms of that, do you consider would you suggest any hooks for Drupal themers? Because I remember reviewing
I'm sorry,
I remember the first Drupal themers, reviewing the first Drupal themers book, and it was unbelievably bad. They built a theme worse than BlueMarine.
Oh, wow.
So I wouldn't suggest that, and I wouldn't say the title, but do you have any good suggestions?
To be honest, I get this question a lot, even with what's a good CSS or HTML book to read, and I have been involved in CSS and HTML and Drupal for so long now that I was already doing that stuff before there were books on it. I don't really know. I know that Emma Jane here has a new book that does front-end development. I haven't read it yet. Okay, yeah, no one has. It might be good.
It's already filled out.
Oh, okay. So, Eclipse GZ or Chris here?
I just wanted to go back to the second question about documentation and things like that. There are some docs already in page templates, but as far as the CSS goes, Stark is as stripped down as we could possibly make it. So yes, there are some comments there, but all it is just a little bit of layout CSS. So any theme we might build from this point forward that might say be a sub-theme of Stark, yeah,
Yeah, no, any theme that gets into core, absolutely. I would sort of insist on documenting the hell out of the CS sets that's going to be in there, really. Go ahead.
You ever think about breaking up layout, composition, and element design? For example, going to a page and saying, hey, here are all the options for different layout configurations, and this is how you could theme those elements within this layout composition.
That's something that I kind of exploring a little bit in the upcoming Zen 2.0. I certainly I haven't thought about specific things for D7 in that respect, but yeah, absolutely. The more ideas that we can bring to the table, the better. That sounds like a great one. Yeah. Are there guidelines for contributing to back some contributed themes? Yeah, no. Yeah, the contributed themes that are available right now they're all over the place. I'm trying to lead by example, but there aren't any really docs on what's the best practices for stuff. We need more documentation on that, absolutely. Back there?
Is there an actual list of all the core classes in Drupal someplace?
A list of all the core classes. There is, yeah, well, there's a lot of them actually here on the Zen reference, and actually, if you look at if you download the Zen theme, there is a Drupal 6 reference.css file in there that's just for reference, but it's basically taken all of the CSS files that's in core and shows you all the rules. It makes it a lot easier to sort of search for that stuff. But to get more to your point about specific classes, that is a bit harder to get at because different modules can add classes to various things and. That's the closest thing we have right now that I'm aware of, yeah, for as far as listing out all the classes that are used and what are they for, yeah. Yeah, that's a good idea. That's actually a really, really, really good idea. One of the things that Drupal 6 has started to do is right at the beginning of the TPL files, there's a huge list of variables and stuff, and I'm pretty sure all of the body classes are actually listed, like the body class is variable. We list out what are the possible things that could be there. We absolutely need to document what are the classes that will show up, here. I think we've got a half done, but those are spread out in each individual TPL. But if we fully documented and across all the TPLs, and it would be relatively easy to just go through those and stick them on one page and say, give this to your designer. That's a great idea too.
Yeah, the closest thing is Zen, and I think so many themes for like WordPress, you give them all just hand them the sheet,
Yeah. Reference sheet, absolutely. Any other ideas? It doesn't have to be questions. Nick?
Just wondering about some of the CSS files that get included in various modules, and certainly in core. There's a lot of people are seen in Drupal support channels and Drupal themes channels that they find they're trying to override a certain property.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, trying to override stuff.
Wondering if there's some way we can sort of, in one of these things, just literally strip out all the stuff that we kind of don't.
Well, yeah, try. Yeah, so the observation was that a lot of times you run into CCS and you don't know what the hell's going on, you don't know where it comes from, and you're trying to override it. How do you do that? Where do you find it? Is there a way that we can make it easier to override that stuff? I think that's a big sort of education and documentation thing. We can tell them how to override stuff. And you were talking about there's some stuff that we could make it easy for them to remove because we probably shouldn't be in core. If it shouldn't be in core, it really should just remove just get it out of core. And there's a lot of funky CSS that's in there that's like, ooh, you know. Yeah, like the Zen theme actually undoes some of core's markup because it causes pain immediately, and if we undo it, then it's more of a blank slate. There are places in core that we need to make more of a blank slate. We're doing too much CSS styling on it right out of the box, and we need to stop doing that. So one thing that I wanted to mention, there's going to be, I've been organizing a design and usability BOF track. So on Friday all day, there were just way too many proposed sessions than could fit on the schedule. So the picked sessions were today in this room, and then tomorrow afternoon. And we still had like a day and a half where there were a bunch of really good sessions that just didn't fit in the track. But we've got the buff rooms, so I've organized a whole new track of just sessions that weren't picked but are still really awesome. We're going to be doing that in room 156 all day Friday, and I think I'm going to do an intro to theming session tomorrow morning as well. You guys seem like you're pretty advanced, but maybe I saw a lot of new theme developers in Emma Jade's sessions this morning, and I'm trying to figure out how to tell them about that, because there was a gap of sort of what's going on. She's sort of got you going, and then there was advanced theming, and there's a big gap in the middle that I want to try to cover tomorrow. It's going to be, I'm going to be representing the Designing with Drupal session that I did at Do It With Drupal last December, tomorrow morning in that BOF session. And then Friday all day, look for the whiteboard out there. You're going to see the list of all the things that are going on. There's going to be a bunch of really awesome things on the whiteboard besides that track as well, so don't just look at your little handout. There's lots of other stuff going on at this conference. One more question, go ahead.
Actually, this discussion got brought up at Node 16200 about actually the forum theming.
Mm-hmm.
Did anybody kind of decide what is okay and what actually is they want to consider putting in the forum, like the framework? You brought that up before, whether it was a framework or whether it was a continuation of a theme, or that seems to be like the sort of like jumping. There's a lot of people that are split about what actually should be put in core and what shouldn't be put in core.
Yeah, there is a little split about what should go in core and what should not go into core as far as what what layout systems and that sort of stuff. And the thing is that Drupal is certainly a duocracy. Whoever does the stuff, that's the stuff that goes into core. There's Eclipse GC here is a big proponent of 960. And Mark Bolton, who's sitting here, did the Drupal.org redesign using the blueprint layout. I think that we need to engage the design community by giving them, that should be our primary focus. Give them the tools that they're familiar with. Zen layout method is great, I love it, but the design community doesn't know it. So I'm betting that there's no good compelling reason to put that layout method in core to start with. There's certainly compelling reasons for other stuff. And I think that we just need to have a conversation and do stuff, and that's what's going to go into core. So thank you very much. It was lots of fun, and I hope to see you Saturday. Have I talked to him?